Okay. When the war was over, we all came back to Rhode Island, and my parents' home had been destroyed by the cove being filled in, and their view was spoiled by the construction that had gone on in World War II. So they bought a new home at Seaview Avenue in Cranston, right on the edge of the water with a nice view. Then came along the hurricane of 1954, and it washed out the, the protected seawall in front of their home, a big Victorian with grass growing down to the edge of the water and a seawall. So then they started, oh, we got to have a new seawall. But they had joined a swimming club over in East Providence, and they decided swimming would be good for my father. He didn't get enough exercise, and my mother loved to swim. So they joined the swimming club, but the pool was not very often warm enough to suit my father, and he decided he needed his when the war when the hurricane of 54 washed down the seawall. They decided, well, why are we maintaining this grass between our house and a seawall in the water? Why don't we put in a swimming pool? And they thought about that, and my father said, Kenbridge was never warm enough for me. I want to swim in a warm swimming pool. And my mother said, the furnace in this old house is not going to make that pool warm enough. My father said, I'm going to have a new furnace and I'm going to have a new room. We're not going to mow the grass anymore. We're going to have a new room built over at the edge of the swimming pool, and we're going to have cement there and a swimming pool, no lawn to mow, and we're going to have just what we want. And she said, well, all right, there hasn't been much that you wanted, but let's do it. So they had a contractor, and they had come in, and they had a swimming pool built with the new seawall next to it, no grass, and cement all around it so you could play, oh, what do you call that, shuffleboard on the edge. And the swimming pool, next to the swimming pool, underneath the house, was dressing rooms and a special furnace just built to keep that swimming pool warm enough. So everybody loved to come and visit Grandpa and go in his swimming pool. So their daughter, who lived down in North Carolina, used to come up, and the four girls would come with their parents, Mommy and Daddy. They would come up to visit Grandma and Grandpa, and it was a big deal when they drove all the way up and took their vacation time to visit Grandma and Grandpa and their other Rhode Island relatives. So Evelyn McVeigh, who lived their youngest daughter, who lived across the water on the other side, knew that they didn't get lobster very often. Now, this was a big deal. So she drove all the way down to Manchester's in Little Compton to get the best and the best lobsters and bring them over, and we were going to serve them at Grandpa's. So Evelyn was coming over with the lobsters in the back of her car, and she was thinking as she came down to the swimming pool, here are these young girls and their cousin from her son from cousin from East Providence across the water, who was quite a swimming championship at East Providence High School. He was a big hero to all these young girls from North Carolina. And they were all having a good time swimming in the swimming pool. And Evelyn came along with these, drove up in her car with these lobsters, and the little devil spoke to her, and she said, let's have some fun with these wonderful lobsters. So she put a, a towel over her arm that looked like a swimming pool towel, and she had this little bag, the big bag, not a little bag, of these big lobsters under her arm, and she went out and to greet everybody at the swimming pool, her sister and the sister's little daughters and her son from a high school swimming pool. And she slid along the edge of the pool and sat down, and the lobsters slid out from under her towel into the water, and they were down the bottom of the pool. The pool shaped down to the deeper, and the little girls were swimming in and out, and then one of them, who was a little better the swimmer than the other, drove up, lobsters in the bottom of the pool, lobsters! And nobody else believed them. So Kirk, who wanted to be the hero of the day, drove down and, there are lobsters in the pool. And then they got all upset. And they said, oh, how did they get in there? And there was, when they built the seawall at the edge of the pool, there was an opening left from the rainwater to come from under the cement out into the bay. And they looked at this. It couldn't have been more than about 3 or 4 inches big. Now, oh, they must have come in from there. They got into the pool. This was dirty saltwater pool out of the bay. They were all, oh, what? And Kirk, who enjoyed being the big hero of the day, dove down to the pool, and by then the chlorine in the pool had kind of got the lobsters. So he picked them out, came up the side of the pool, here they are, and he took them out, gave them to Grandma, who cooked them and served them that night for supper.
That's great.